Hi, I'm just wrapping up on pronominal verbs and a couple of things. Number one, these are pronominal verbs, but these pronominal verbs, we're going back to the reflexive. And the following verbs are reflexive, and they don't have a non-reflexive form. They're only reflexive. So if you looked them up in a dictionary, you will only see the form that has it with the reflexive. So atreverse, to dare. Darse cuenta, to realize. I didn't put that down there, I'm sorry. To realize. No me di cuenta. Jactarse, which means to boast. Quejarse, which means to complain. Suicidarse, which means to commit suicide. But then that makes sense, right? Who else? If you commit suicide, the only person you're killing is yourself, right? And in English, you can say to kill yourself or to kill oneself. So that must be the reflexive. Or we say to commit suicide. So either one means the same thing, right? It means the same thing. Now, once again, we're going to leave the reflexive because this is all reflexive. If the action, the subject, and the object is the same. And now we're talking about using the reflexive pronouns and the reflexive form of the verb, but having different meaning. Okay, so when you say, se habla español, you'll be walking in the streets, or you'll be, in Mexico, there's a section called La Zona Rosa, and that you see in the window say se habla inglés, right? So they're not talking about that they talk English to themselves. No. That's a way of using what we would say, what we call in English, and in Spanish, la voz pasiva, the passive voice. So you're saying, se habla español, what that is, that se and that habla is Spanish is spoken here, right? Spanish is the object. The passive voice is when the object is more important than the subject. In fact, the subject is not even mentioned because Spanish here is not the subject. Spanish here is what the subject does. So that means that the people in the store, which you don't have to say, speak Spanish. So you can say in English, Spanish is spoken here, or se habla español. Another example would be, no se come carne acá, or aquí, excuse me, no se come carne aquí, which means that in this place, whether it's a restaurant or in the house or whatever, meat is not eaten here. Obviously by the residents, right? Obviously by the people who are in this place where clients come when they say se habla español. Now you can't do this in English. You can't use the reflexive in English to have this meaning. This is Spanish. Okay. Another use of the reflexive that is in Spanish but doesn't correspond to English, when you use it to mean to get or to become. Me engordo, right? That means I'm getting fat or I'm becoming fat. Okay. Or te enojas, right? You hear a lot of times people say, no te enojes, siempre estás enojando, no te enojes, okay? Siempre te enojas, right? Siempre estás siempre te enojas, right? Which means when it says no te enojes, means don't get angry, or te enojas, one is becoming or getting angry. All right, so this is the use of the reflexive pronouns, but it's not, this is not reflexive. That's why it's just called pronominal. Here, this is reflexive. Here, it's pronominal because you're using reflexive pronouns, but it doesn't mean that the action, that the subject and the object are the same. Okay. Also, here this is reflective, but the meaning is changing. When you say me caí, it doesn't just mean I fell. You're not saying that you fell on yourself, which makes no sense. When you say me caí, this means I fell by mistake. It was an accident, okay? So you're using the reflexive pronouns, you're using the reflexive form to let the listener know that this action was not done intentionally. Me caí, okay? Or the action was not planned. Se sale el agua, right? Now, se sale el agua means the water is leaking. You're not, obviously, it's accidental, or you're not planning for the water to leak, right? So you use the reflexive form, or you use the reflexive pronouns, but the idea here, the underlying idea, even though it's not stated, it's assumed that this action was done either accidentally or it was not planned. Me caí, se sale el agua. When you say that you've lost something, now you have to use the say. You say, se me caí, no, se me olvidó, right? But that's a little bit different, and we'll come back and talk about that. So we're going to wrap it up a little bit with the pronominal verbs. Okay, they can use the pronominal verbs can be reflexive when the subject and the object are the same, or it can have other meanings that do not correspond in English. Right? In English, you cannot use a reflexive in order to change the meaning of a verb. We do that with prepositions or with adverbs, right? To get up, to get down, to get over, to get in, to get about. We don't use pronominal pronouns to do that in English, right? Also, you use it in order to form the passive voice, se habla, se come, se pinta, se camina, whatever, all right? Which means it's our use of the passive voice. Spanish is spoken, English is spoken, meat is eaten, meat is not eaten. You also use the reflexive pronouns and what looks like reflexive format or structure in order to say to get or to become. Me engordo, right? That means I'm getting fat. Or te enojas, that means you're getting angry. You also use it, and the last point, it has an underlying meaning. The underlying meaning is that it was done accidentally. It was not done as part of a plan. Me caí, se sale el agua. Once again, it might sound complicated if you look at it from, you're looking at it, because I'm just teaching one segment. But as you get to speak Spanish, as you get to learn the language, as you begin to think the same way as someone, or begin to try to think the same way as someone who speaks Spanish, certain things will begin to make sense. Eventually, it'll make sense if you keep working at it, if you keep fighting in order to learn the language. Because as I've said 1,000 times, Spanish is going to become, if not, I don't think it's going to become the first language of the United States. I don't think so. But it will most definitely become the second language. And it most definitely will become such an important language that if you do not speak Spanish, there are many jobs you're not going to be able to get because you're not going to be able to communicate with the people that need to be, with whom you need to communicate. So this is Coralla Ficklin McLean at iStudyGuides.com and our network. You go in iStudyGuides.com and you'll see our network. And I'm going to leave it on the board for you for about 10 seconds to see if you want to copy down anything. Okay, bye. Have a good day.